What if you checked into a room and felt it watching you? The air grows colder, shadows stretch farther, and the whispers, they sound like your name. Room 217 at the Stanley Hotel isn't just haunted, it's a vortex of fear. Tonight, you'll discover why so many have fled and why some never leave at all. High in the Colorado Rockies lies the Stanley Hotel, a grand retreat surrounded by beauty, but shadowed by its ghosts. It's a place where luxury meets fear, and no room embodies this contrast more than room 217. Over the years, tales of apparitions, unexplained phenomena, and sheer terror have turned this room into a legend. From its explosive origins to its connection to Stephen King's The Shining, room 217 holds a past that's as chilling as the stories of those who've stayed there. But is it all just myth? Or is room 217 truly cursed? In 1909, Freeland Oscar Stanley and his wife Flora built the Stanley Hotel, envisioning it as a luxurious getaway for the elite. The elegant colonial revival structure, perched at the edge of the Rocky Mountains, was meant to be a place of beauty and rejuvenation. Freeland, recovering from tuberculosis, believed the fresh mountain air had saved his life. But even from the beginning, some locals whispered that the land had a darker history, one steeped in mystery. Before the hotel, the area was said to be a spiritual site for Native American tribes. They believed the land carried a strong, sometimes dangerous energy. Whether these stories influenced the events that followed, no one can say. But as the hotel took shape, odd occurrences began to ripple through its halls. From its grand opening, the Stanley Hotel was a masterpiece, featuring electric lights, telephones, and running water, a rarity in the early 1900s. It dazzled its guests. But beneath the surface of luxury, shadows loomed. Workers reported seeing strange figures in the half-constructed halls, only for the figures to vanish moments later. Tools would go missing, only to reappear in impossible locations. And then there were the inexplicable cold spots, bone-chilling drafts in rooms sealed from the wind. While most dismissed these as quirks of construction, some believed otherwise. A housekeeper at the time wrote in her diary, "This place is alive with whispers. I pray they are the whispers of the Lord, but something in my heart fears they are not." These fears were brushed aside until 1911, when the first major incident thrust room 217 into infamy. On the night of June 25, 1911, a thunderstorm rolled through Estes Park. The power went out, plunging the hotel into darkness. As the head housekeeper, Elizabeth Wilson, made her rounds, she entered room 217 to check on the gas lamps. What she didn't know was that a gas leak had filled the room. The moment she lit a match, the room erupted in a fiery explosion. The blast was so strong that it destroyed much of the second floor, sending debris flying into the courtyard below. Guests screamed as smoke billowed through the halls, and staff scrambled to evacuate. Elizabeth was thrown into the room below, unconscious, but miraculously alive. Her recovery took months, and while she returned to work at the Stanley Hotel, she was never the same. It was said that Elizabeth grew more reserved after the accident, her eyes often distant, as if she'd seen something on the other side. When she passed away years later, her spirit didn't seem to leave. Guests who've stayed in room 217 report feeling her presence, blankets tucked tightly around them, clothes folded neatly when they left them scattered, and a faint motherly humming that fills the air late at night. But not all of Elizabeth's appearances are so kind. Some guests report waking to a figure standing over their bed, her face half hidden in shadow. One man claimed he felt her cold hands grip his shoulders as she whispered, "Leave!" When he turned on the lights, no one was there, but the marks on his shoulders remained. Room 217 became world famous thanks to Stephen King, who stayed at the Stanley Hotel in 1974. At the time, the hotel was nearly abandoned, preparing to close for the season. King and his wife, Tabitha, were the only guests, and the empty hallways and creaking floorboards set an eerie tone. That night, King had a nightmare so vivid it stayed with him for life. In the dream, his young son was running through the hotel's endless corridors, screaming, pursued by a fire hose that had come to life. When King woke, drenched in sweat, he stepped onto the balcony of room 217 and stared at the dark Rockies. In that moment, the foundation for The Shining was born. King later described room 217 as having a presence, a feeling that he wasn't alone, even when the room was empty. He wasn't the first to experience this. The room's reputation for ghostly encounters predates his stay by decades, but his story turned room 217 into a global phenomenon. One guest awoke in the middle of the night to hear faint whispers coming from the bathroom. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but the whispers grew louder and more distinct, forming words she couldn't understand. When she approached the bathroom, the whispering stopped, but the mirror was fogged, as if someone had been breathing on it. Families staying in room 217 often report hearing footsteps pacing above them late at night. The sound continues for hours, but when they complain to the front desk, they're reminded that there is no room above 217. It's the top floor. A guest staying in room 217 reported hearing a knock at the door around midnight. When they opened it, no one was there. Moments later, they heard a polite voice saying, "Your service, sir." When they turned, they saw a man dressed in an old-fashioned bellhop uniform standing at the foot of the bed. He tipped his hat, smiled, and vanished before their eyes. A solo traveler checking into room 217 woke in the middle of the night to the sound of a blood-curdling scream. It seemed to come from directly outside their window. When they looked out, they saw nothing but the moonlit courtyard below. Suddenly, the scream echoed again, this time from inside the room. Unable to bear it, the guest grabbed their belongings and fled the hotel, vowing never to return. Room 217 has been the subject of countless investigations by ghost hunters and paranormal researchers. Teams have recorded eerie EVP sessions where voices respond to questions with chilling clarity. In one session, a voice whispered, "Get out," followed by the sound of a woman's laughter. Thermal imaging cameras often detect cold spots near the bed and bathroom, even when the room is fully heated. Video footage captured a chair moving slightly on its own, while a faint shadow flickered across the walls. Investigators who've spent the night in room 217 frequently report vivid nightmares and an overwhelming sense of being watched. Over the years, room 217 has been the focal point of numerous paranormal investigations. Ghost hunting teams from all over the world have visited the Stanley Hotel, drawn by the room's infamous reputation. Some investigations yielded startling evidence, while others left seasoned investigators shaken. One team recorded an EVP session, electronic voice phenomenon, in which a woman's faint voice whispered, "What do you want?" The investigators responded with questions, and the voice replied again, Get out! The clarity of the recordings baffled even the skeptics among them. Another investigation focused on the room's electromagnetic activity. Using specialized equipment, the team detected erratic spikes in electromagnetic fields near the bed and the bathroom. What's unsettling is that these areas showed no structural reasons for the fluctuations. This left investigators speculating that the activity could be tied to the residual energy of past traumatic events, like the explosion that nearly killed Elizabeth Wilson. One particularly chilling investigation involved a thermal camera set up in the room overnight. Around 3 a.m., the camera captured a humanoid heat signature sitting on the edge of the bed, even though no one was present. As the team watched the live feed, the figure slowly turned its head toward the camera before fading out completely. When they checked the room moments later, they found no evidence of anyone being there, yet the bedspread appeared indented as if someone had just been sitting there. The scariest thing about room 217 isn't the ghost stories. It's the lingering feeling it leaves behind. Many guests who stay there claim to bring something home with them. Shadows that move in their peripheral vision, whispers that follow them to bed, and a sense that room 217 never truly lets go. Room 217 isn't just a haunted hotel room, it's a portal to fear. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the stories surrounding it are enough to send chills down anyone's spine. Would you dare to stay in room 217? Or is some darkness better left undisturbed? If you crave more chilling tales, subscribe now and let us know. Would you spend a night in room 217?